Hi everyone, welcome back to Camel Sink. Today's subject will be the illustrious Carpathian Mountains. Formed during the Alpine orogeny during the Mesozoic and Cenozoic eras, when the Alpine, Carpathian, Pannonian, Tisa, and Dacia plates moved over subducting oceanic crust. The subduction is when a heavier plate goes under a lighter plate and moves back into the mantle. This process formed a mountain range that was over 900 miles long and 80,000 total square miles, with mountains reaching as high as 8,700 feet above sea level, such as the Gorlichowski Stit. While called the Carpathians as a whole, these are not actually one long unbroken streak of mountains. There are quite a few smaller ranges within it, such as the Tetras, which actually hold the highest average for peaks in the Carpathians. The Carpathians are actually the third longest mountain range in Europe after the Urals and the Scandinavians. When talked about geographically, the Carpathian Mountains are often split into 8 sections: the inner and outer western and the inner and outer eastern Carpathians, as well as the southern Carpathians, the Transylvanian Plateau, the Serbian Carpathians, and then the outer Carpathians. I'm sure there's a multitude of colloquial names, throughout the regions as well. Moving into the wildlife of the mountains, we have a wide range of ecologies to look into, such as lowland forests and alpine meadows. The Carpathians are actually the largest habitat in Europe for wolves, brown bears, chamois, I think they're pronounced. I didn't know what they were. They are like a goat, antelope type thing, and lynxes, and with a very high concentration of these animals in Romania. They are also home to European bison, European wildcats, and golden eagles, surprisingly enough. Along with this wide range of animal, you have a wide range of people and cultures that surround the Carpathians. You have the Slovaks in the west, the Hungarians in the south, you have the Ukrainians in the northeast, as well as the Romanians and a multitude of other cultures and peoples. Interestingly enough, on the Transylvanian plateau, you also have remnants of German colonists from the Middle Ages. The aforementioned Transylvanian plateau and the intermontane basins are heavily agricultural areas. On the northern slopes, you have wheat and rye and oats. On the southern are corn, sugar, beets, grapes, and tobacco. Throughout the Carpathians, there are also natural gas, oil, brown coal, rock salts, and those are all highly important resources throughout. Sadly enough, the second largest virgin forest in Europe, which is in Romania and is mostly contained within the Carpathians, falls victim quite often to illegal logging operations. Now into the myths of the Carpathians, which all of the other stuff is very interesting. I love learning about culture and people and astronomy, if you were around for the last video. But myths and mythology are something I'm also very interested in. I find all that very fascinating. Most of the commonly known mythology surrounding the Carpathians is from Romania. There's the story of the Baba Docia, which tells of an elderly lady who makes her daughter-in-law pick berries in the forest during winter. When she starts to cry and tears fill her eyes due to this impossible task, God appears in the form of an old man and gives her berries to bring back. Baba Docia, receiving these berries and believing that spring is back, she goes out to bring her flock back up to the mountains. She doesn't bring a coat or anything, and she ends up freezing to death. Her sheep that also came with her are also frozen to death, and they form a rock formation known as the Babele. Another version of the story concerns a young woman named Baba Docia, whose beauty the Roman Emperor Trajan found irresistible. The Romans destroyed her city and forced her father, King Decibel, to commit suicide. In her desperation to not be forced to marry Trajan, she asks Zalmoxis to turn her to stone. Zalmoxis is a god who was worshipped by the Ghetto-Dacians, believing him to be a prophet and a mystic who discovered immortality of the soul. He discovered this after retreating into a cave on a mountain for 3 years. There are also the Solmonari, who are a group of weather-controlling wizards who reside in the caves of the Carpathians. They ride dragons and are thought to be taught by the devil, although depending upon the region, their reputation is not always so sinister. Some believe they disguise themselves as beggars and reward the good and punish the bad. The Carpathians are also home to the legend of the Hutzul people. The Hutzul people live on the borders of Romania and Ukraine. It is believed that they are home to the Mulfares, who, like the Solmonari, are capable of dissolving clouds, summoning thunder, speaking to animals, and levitation. Another myth concerns the Chugeister, the woodman, who lives in forests and loves to sing and dance. He often invites visitors to dance and protects herdsmen who offer him food. There's also Lake Nesamavet, or the Frantic Lake, which is a glacial lake in the Carpathians, which at the bottom it is said to contain a mirror. This frozen mirror brings storms to terrorize the people and serves as a destination for the souls of sinners. One of the most famous Carpathian legends is the tales of Maramorash Castle. It is said that the castle was built over a gold mine and that its owner was incredibly wealthy. However, envy and betrayal led to its downfall, and now it is considered to be a cursed place. A few other notable ones are, there are lots of legends of forest spirits. There's the White Stone, which is a magical white stone. It can grant wishes. And then there are mountain spirits. These mountain spirits are said to help, both help and harm travelers, and can create illusions. Or if you live in the Carpathians and were either unbaptized or abused as a child, you might become a werewolf. And then, of course, when we get into Romania, we get to the headlining event, the main guy, Dracula, of course, popularized by Bram Stoker's novel Dracula. That novel details Keanu Reeves traveling to Transylvania to seal a real estate deal. While not the first modern vampire novel, that distinction goes to Carmilla by Joseph Sheridan Le Fanu, which is one of my personal favorite novels. However, Dracula popularized the fangs, the thirst for blood, and overall inspired many great things like Castlevania, and of course the most important vampire story culturally, Twilight.